On to the 7th on the program now on the preview for this race, and we run the 1200 metres on the turf for the Class 3 gallopers. Sparkling Dragons on the class drop. He's a 6 from 7 winner over the 1200 metres. 5 elements, the cheek piece is off and the visor goes on. Our Lucky Glory is a first starter. He won over 1,000 metres in Brazil. Also ran second in the Group 1 Juliano Martins over 1,500 metres. Ready to Win carries an extra £5 for his last start win. Gallant Express gets the pacifiers on. Co-partner Fion was a winner over 1,400 at Rotorua, 1,550 Awapuni, 1,600 at Wanganui. When known as Black Forest for Kevin Myers, Mighty Valor with the visor on, the tongue tie off. Further down, we've got Quadruple Double. Unlucky 2 starts ago. Tends to struggle at Happy Valley, and he did last time. He'll appreciate coming back to Sha Tin. And Super Fortune Nick gets the cheek pieces off. Missed the start a couple of runs ago, but flies the gate when he wins the hop.
He certainly can do, and there's a bit of pace on, which will come courtesy of the 12-horse Super Fortune. He does like to go forward. Quadruple Double, another one, though he is drawn in 6, so he should find himself in a decent spot, but you've got 5 elements, and Rev Parisian, who's a newcomer for Paul O'Sullivan, he actually showed plenty of pace, Paul, in those runs in New Zealand. You'd be a bit more familiar with those than I, but he certainly puts himself on the pace. Yeah,
and he has shown pace in his trials here as well. Sparkling Dragon should get himself into a nice run. Harmony and Home just might find it a bit tricky, might just need a bit of luck, and Gallant Express has been consistent and won't be too far away either.
We're going to start with the trainer of Rev Parisian, who was known as Ferendi for Tony Pike in New Zealand. Raced over 1,000 at Te Rapa and won over that distance, 1,200 Ruakaka and 1,300 at Taupo as well. He's now trained by another Kiwi in Paul O'Sullivan.
Paul, Rev Parisian is a newcomer to your stable. He was a 3-time winner in New Zealand for Tony Pike. He's done most of his training up at Chung Fa. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, well, his trials have been quite good up at Chung Fa. He's had 2 or 3 now, maybe 4. And, he's fit enough to race, but there's a lot of improvement in him. And, in our current situation, it's been very difficult for me to see him for a long time. And so, again, makes it a little bit more difficult to predict how he'll go.
Just with a couple of trials at Chung Fa, has he seemingly been a horse that's easy enough to come to hand from what you can gather?
I think so. Second trial was a big improvement on his first one, and I've got Marco Choi up there as Métis, and big asset because he can sort of sit on them and give us an idea whether they're ready to race or not, and he seemed to think the horse was ready to go.
He won 3 in New Zealand for Tony Pike. Having gone back and had a look at those replays, he seems to show a really good attitude, this horse, and battles on strongly.
Yes, yeah, he's an easy horse to do anything with, and look, yeah, it looks pretty determined in his races, but a few of those races were on rain-affected going, so, he's got to battle the hard tracks of Sha Tin.
A few, obviously, perhaps negatives there, but just on the race itself this weekend, I mean, it probably isn't the deepest, and he gets in with a lightweight, so I guess he's probably some sort of chance to take improvement from it.
It's a very, very even field, you could sort of give 6 or 7 or 8 a chance in the race, but as I say, he's going to improve with the run, and generally it's very difficult for horses to win in Class 3 first start here in Hong Kong, and I think it may prove that way for him.
That replay of Taupo, they've got the notion for the worst winning post in the history of racing. Anyway, we move on here, Paul, to Ready to Win. Any chance of him going back-to-back?
Well, look, he hasn't yet, obviously. He's only had the 5 starts, but he's a horse that keeps improving all the time. He's up a little bit in weight here, and he's just got this awkward draw, barrier number 11. He did win really nicely here. He was just on the cusp for me. He didn't quite make it in.
Yeah, it was a good strong win, wasn't it, in the end, from this horse who managed to score it at 9-1. So it wasn't as if he was unfancied. The horse in those cerise and white colours, that's Rock Your Heart. He's come out and run well since as well. So form's not looking too bad out of that race, but he has got £6 more to carry, the winner, Ready to Win.
We've got 4 of them out of this race, and Nick going into the 7th, including Kamasi, Riverviews, both finishing midfield or worse. Super Fortune, a good gate, and Gallant Express has been in some strong fields too.
He has, and he's got pacifiers going on as well for the first time, which could be quite interesting with him. And Antoine Hamlin's been booked. I think the jockey will suit him, actually. He hasn't been the easiest horse to try and win with. He runs numerous placings. And well, as for Super Fortune in front in those green colours, he's got his cheek pieces coming off here, Paul, but they've drawn a good gate in 1, so he looks well placed.
He did. He had to work a little bit hard. This is a really good form race with Flying Ace, who's unbeaten, winning it. I thought it was a really good run by Super Fortune, so I think he'll be tough. I didn't mind the run of Kamasi as well. He's getting there as well.
Finally, Paul, up to Chung Fa we go. 5 Elements has had the 4 starts. On his debut second to Packing Victory, it's amazing he hasn't won a race by now.
No, you're right. And they've just given him a little bit of a time off, even though the cheek piece is off, the visor goes on. And look, he's looked good in his races, especially that debut race. And in particular, I'm surprised, as you say, he hasn't won. He's been a little bit costly, but he has had that little break. And look, he goes in with Zach on the board.
Yeah, it'd be a painful memory if you're on 2 starts ago. He's 1.7 and got turned over, but that form on the whole, I think overall is pretty good. You know, Packing Victory runs through the form there. Romantic Warrior, I mean, the fact he's only 4 lengths behind him, I think in a race like this certainly counts for plenty.
This is not a bad field, this one, Paul. Do you like Super Fortune enough to tip him on top?
Yeah, I do. I really like this horse. I think he's a nice horse. His debut run over 1,000 was very, very good when he won that. And now over the 1,200, I was a little bit querying about the 1,200, but he showed he could run out a good 1,200 last start. Kamasi's an improver. Gallant Express is consistent. And 5 Elements is the horse that's coming back after a little bit of a little breather. 12, 9, 5 and 2.
Yeah, I've got the size horse on top here, Gallant Express. He's never been too far away, this guy, and he has been a little bit frustrating. He's been a bit costly to follow because he runs close but sort of no cigar. But I think the booking of Antoine Hamlin is a good one, and I think he might be able to get his head across the line in front this time around. Super Fortune in for second. Obviously, they come through the same race, a good form line as well. He's well drawn. 5 Elements goes in. He's possible pace. Zach rides him, and Visor going on. Cheek pieces coming off and ready to win. He's got a bit more on his dish this time around, but he's in form, and hopefully he can continue to carry that forward. 5, 12, 2 and 4 for me.
And the early favourite is the 2 5 Elements at 4.8 for the win and to a place.